very much. Thank you, Peg, for having me back again. Peg's reading series is great. If you haven't, check it out in Sausalito. And thank you for coming, everyone. This is from my book, Contents May Have Shifted. I'm just going to jump right in, read a couple of very short sections. I don't think there's anything to say. The narrator's name is coincidentally Pam, and she has a guy she's trying to work out things out with named Rick. This is 68, Albuquerque, New Mexico. At the entrance to the security line, Rick says, "Now you are going to get the story you wanted, that you were broken up with right before your birthday. But that isn't the story I wanted at all. It's barely sunrise and we left the ranch at 3 and we haven't had coffee yet. I feel sad beyond measure that we are fighting again, but it seems simpler in the moment to just say, fuck you." Rick walks away from me, back toward the parking lot, and I follow. I grab the part of his sleeve where his arm isn't. "I'm sorry I said that to you," I say. "Really, I am." He says, "If you don't let go of me, I'm going to call that man." "What man?" I think. "What man?" I say. "What are you talking about?" I am holding his sleeve between two fingers, the way one might hold a feather or a pen. "What you are doing right now," he says, "is illegal." "Illegal?" I say. "Illegal? Have you completely lost your mind?" On the way to the airport this morning, Rick asked me what I do when I'm feeling my very worst, and I thought, uh-oh. "Make your slots progressive," one billboard said. "A plutonium factory? Here?" said the next. The sun had not quite risen, but it was all glowy over there behind the sandias, and Venus was sparkling like a crazy woman in the west. "If you don't let go of me," Rick says now, "I am going to call that man." I have to guess that he means some imagined member of the relationship police, though there is no one who fits that description in my line of sight. I release Rick's sleeve, get in line for security. Last weekend, when we dropped Madison off, I fell on my face right in front of Tom and Sophie's house. Someone had cut down a sign and left 4 inches of aluminum post behind, and I tripped over it and went flying. It is the 5th time this month I have hurled myself to the ground, all the way, spread eagle. Once in Rick's driveway, once in the arrivals hall of Boise Airport, once over Jude's computer cord, once carrying a dog bed, so at least it broke the fall. "What you want to ask yourself," Janine said, "is why you are doing it." "I guess I'm trying to make sure the ground is there," I said. And she suggested I try to get down there at least once a day on my own terms. On the far side of security, a woman wearing a fuchsia scarf approaches, asks if she can help. I try to compose my face in a way that says, "Just sad, not crazy," and thank her, but decline. "God loves you a whole lot, you know," Scarf Woman says, in a way that sounds not at all generic, but more like she is privy to some top secret information. "Well, yes," I say. "I would like it very much if he did." This is 71, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Driving from Chicago in the -6-degree weather, neck craned out the window looking for the lunar eclipse because the rocket scientists told me to, but the light pollution extends all the way to the Wisconsin border and I think I'm probably facing the wrong direction anyhow. If I became the rocket scientist's girlfriend, the fortune cookie about me being the reasonable one would never, ever, ever be true. In Milwaukee, everything is frozen solid. The river, the stoplights, even my car door. But when I get to my high-rise hotel room, there is the eclipse right out my window, halfway over and looking strange enough to scare a caveman or an ancient Egyptian to death. Trish comes to meet me for breakfast with her sperm bank in vitro baby, and I have no idea how to respond as she details all the ways her life has become a living hell. She knows I thought she was crazy to do it, at her age, alone with her 80-hour-a-week job, and now here she is, as if to prove me wrong, but everything she says makes her life sound about 10 times worse than I could have ever imagined. The lake is frozen as far out as you can see, blocks of ice heaved up on the shore like wrecked cars, and Cliff Parker, whose law firm is sponsoring my visit, picks me up and takes me to the Milwaukee Country Club for lunch. It is so much like the country club in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania that my father could just barely afford to belong to, it takes my breath away. Only it is like it is still 1972 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The white wallpaper with little parasol-toting maidens doing tourgetés across it, the 4 dead gray-haired ladies propped up in the corner as if to look like they're playing bridge. The place probably seats 250, not even counting the no women allowed grill downstairs, and yet other than the dead ladies in the corner, we are the only ones eating today. The point of this luncheon, I quickly understand, is so that Cliff can show me why he is a lawyer and not a writer, to show me the kind of life he gave up writing for. He has invited 8 people to the luncheon besides the 2 of us, and exactly none of them show up. I can't decide if Cliff Parker is a sociopath or just so completely normal that he is incomprehensible to me. Our waitress is actually named Trudy. She has a beehive hairdo and is at least 114 years old. We both order the Cobb salad, and for some inexplicable reason it takes 45 minutes to arrive. The room is being heated to a sultry 85 degrees, and there is a squirrel hurling himself repeatedly at the floor-to-ceiling window behind Cliff's head. Over and over, he climbs the nearest tree and then flies, flying squirrel style, and lands splat with his face against the window where his paws achieve suction for a little more than 1 second before he slides like a cartoon character down to the bottom of the glass. He does this 5 or 6 times before I comment on it, though it makes such a terrible noise every time he hits, I can't believe Cliff doesn't turn around. Probably rabid, Cliff says, with a casual wave of his hand, and I feel my eyebrows go up, and he says, a lot of the squirrels around here are. And finally, this is 131, Quebec City, Quebec. There are 2 boxcars, one on top of the other. You enter halfway up via a sheet metal staircase on the outside. The young woman tells us in French that we may close the door, but we must not touch the walls and we must not jump up and down. At least I think that's what she said. She may have said we can't close the door and we ought to jump up and down, but I don't think so. C'est une expérience, she says about 6 times, to make sure we don't think we have just paid her $18 expecting to climb the stairs into a rusty boxcar and see some recently discovered Monets. The walls are covered with broken pieces of mirror in a kind of mosaic arrangement, and where the floor of one boxcar should meet the ceiling of the other, there is only steel cable stretched across what looks, because of the mirrors on the floor of the lower boxcar, like infinity. The cables run vertically and horizontally, leave squares of space just too small for our feet to fall through. The cables give a little when we step onto them, and Rick takes my hand. When we look up, our faces are multiplied into infinity. On both sides of us, there are an infinity of Ricks and an infinity of Pams, holding hands, taking careful steps across broken glass. Thank you.